Following the Blount family rejecting Travis Scott's offer to pay for Ezra's funeral expenses, more families have also denied his cash. Scott had offered to pay for the burial costs for all of those who had lost their life while attending his Astroworld festival. However, now apparently half of the victims' families have rejected him. Amid multiple massive lawsuits, Scott made this offer, but the lawyer for the family of 14-year-old victim John Hilger called the gesture demeaning and inappropriate. Attorneys representing 4 of the 10 victims say that they've declined the offer and added that they would prefer to let the courts decide what actions give the victims the most justice. Richard Mithoff, the attorney for the family of John Hilgert, said in a statement, "It was not an offer the Hilgerts were going to seriously consider. Of all the things this case is about, that's the least of any concern. This family is set on making change and ensuring this never happens at a concert again. I find offering to pay for funerals frankly demeaning and really inappropriate to the magnitude of the tragedy that unfolded." And if you recall, Travis Scott's representatives claimed that he had absolutely personally reached out to the victims' families to provide support. Well, it turns out that that was also false. Philip Corboy, the attorney for the families of 21-year-old friends Jacob Jurenick and Franco Patino, said that he had originally been contacted by Travis Scott's criminal attorney before then getting a follow-up from Scott's new attorney Daniel Petruccelli. Corboy then said that after speaking with the families, he realized quickly that all Travis was trying to do was lessen the public outcry on his case. It took the families about 3 seconds to say no to the offer. Philip also believes that this resounding no only happened because Travis reached out to the families through his attorney rather than reaching out himself, which just came off as disingenuous and impersonal. He goes on to say, "If he's trying to impress upon the families that he's sincere and has concern for them and realize that funerals can be expensive, what Scott's team did is not the way to do it. You don't get a piece of paper in the mail from a lawyer in Beverly Hills who says he represents Travis Scott. These families are raw right now. That lacks any personal touch." Tony Busby, who represents the family of 21-year-old Axel Acosta, was especially fuming over Scott's offer to pay for funeral expenses. Busby said that while he did receive a call from Scott's attorney, he never returned it, adding in a statement to the press, "It's bullshit. If you gave a about these families, you wouldn't have to put out a press release for everyone to see saying he's willing to pay for a funeral." He then says that Scott should have given the families more time to process this loss while also taking responsibility for his actions, adding, "Let the families grieve and shut up. That's it. When something like this happens, there's not a whole lot someone like Travis Scott could do to assuage their pain. He says he feels sorry for them, but he's quick to say it wasn't his fault. He's no different than any defendant pointing fingers to someone else. They don't want funeral expenses from him. Whatever we get from him, we're going to get through the court system." And attorney Michael Lyons, who represents the family of 27-year-old victim Danish Bag, said that the family is in a civil lawsuit right now against Travis and others involved in the event. When speaking with the press, their attorney said, "We received a written offer from Travis Scott's attorney Dan Petruccelli indicating that he would pay $7,500 in funeral burial costs, and my clients are rejecting that. As for their reasoning, the family said that they do not want Travis Scott anywhere near the burial of their son," adding, "You can infer that when a parent has to bury their child, that they're not really interested in people who may have contributed to that being involved," which is a very valid point that Travis Scott needs to be respectful of. There's no doubt that he feels remorse for what he did, and he probably was advised to only speak through his attorney, but man, it was a big missed opportunity. Had he personally contacted those families, it could have been a very different story here. As of late, a lot of celebrities have been finding themselves being sued for millions in huge lawsuits. From Travis Scott to the Ace family, we'll be taking a brief look at all of the biggest lawsuits as of late and some from the past. For starters though, let's begin with Travis Scott. If you recall, we did a video about how Travis Scott was facing $750 million in lawsuits for Astroworld, but believe it or not, that number was added to a whopping $2 billion lawsuit. A Texas-based attorney filed the $2 billion lawsuit against Travis Scott, Live Nation, and others involved in organizing the festival. Attorney Thomas J. Henry filed the lawsuit, and the list of defendants may be long, but the people he was hired to represent is longer. The defendants listed in this suit include Travis Scott, Drake, Apple Music, and NRG Stadium, but on the other side, he is representing 282 Astroworld concert goers. In a statement to the press regarding this massive lawsuit, Henry said, "The defendants stood to make an exorbitant amount of money off of this event, and they still chose to cut corners, cut costs, and put attendees at risk," adding, "My clients want to ensure the defendants are held responsible for their actions, and they want to send the message to all performers, event organizers, and promoters that what happened at Astroworld cannot happen again." Ever since filing this massive lawsuit, this attorney also claims that an additional 120 people have reached out to him looking for representation in this case. In addition to Travis Scott, the Ace family on YouTube have been trying to fight off rumors of bankruptcy. They were sued by the media company Live by Live, and a lawyer for them told the press that Austin's boxing event was built on a stack of lies, and as a result they were seeking $100 million in their lawsuit for failure to fulfill contracts. Then Catherine was also being sued by TBL Cosmetics, which is a manufacturing company that helped launch her brand 1212 Gateway. This one is a civil complaint, but the suit alleged that she tried to stage a coup of the skincare brand to stop TBL from profiting off of 1212 Gateway. Now, is Live by Live going to get $100 million out of Austin McBroom? Probably not. My guess is that this countersuit was their way of defending their own brand. Because when you think about it, Austin could just, put out a vlog or call up the Hollywood Fix and begin spinning whatever narrative that helps his image best. But when you get down to brass tacks, the truth will be exposed in court. That countersuit is just a way of drawing him back in to admit where he went wrong, i.e. promising fighters and performers money that he didn't have. Now, if you think getting sued for $100 million is bad, imagine how Michael Jordan felt when he was sued by a man named Alan Heckard of Portland, Oregon. Alan actually sued Michael Jordan because of how similar they looked. On the grounds of this resemblance, he said it caused him emotional pain, suffering, defamation, and permanent injury. Alan sued Jordan for $416 million. He also sued Nike for the exact same amount, claiming that they were the reason that Michael Jordan became a celebrity. Now, I don't want to be off base with this comment, so take it as my own personal remark on this case, but Heckard said that he couldn't go to church, play sports, or even ride the bus without someone asking, "Are you that guy from Space Jam?" Because I'm sure that's how people remember Michael Jordan. My beef with Heckard in this case is that he also shaved his head, got an earring in the same ear as Michael's, and he started wearing Jordans. So yeah, I could understand why people were mistaking you for this celebrity. Either way, he eventually realized how crazy he was too and dropped the lawsuit. Switching from lookalikes though back to concerts, Justin Bieber had his fair share of being sued for millions by fans. When you are as big of a celebrity as Justin Bieber, it's only a matter of time before someone, somewhere finds a reason to sue you. For Justin, he's been sued a few times, some for good reason and others that are just sort of ridiculous. This one sort of falls down the middle, I guess. You see, in 2013, he was being sued by a woman that claimed her eardrums broke due to all of the screaming fans at his concert. The mother, whose name is Stacey Betts, initially filed the lawsuit without a lawyer to back her up, and even though she asked the court to dismiss her case, she still believes that she was in the right. After taking her daughter to a Bieber concert in July of 2010, she claimed that her hearing had been permanently damaged, which is simultaneously a great roast joke on Justin, like his music was so bad it made her go deaf. Imagine that was her defense. Guarantee the judge would have been more on her side. First she sued Bieber, then his label, then the concert promoter, and then finally she sued the arena itself for $9.23 million in damages. As I mentioned though, the case was dismissed and never really materialized into anything. Now we can't talk about Justin Bieber without mentioning his mentor Usher. Usher is a successful American R&B pop star who first began making music at the age of 15. Now at 43 years old, he has quite the illustrious career, and whether you're a fan of his or not, you definitely will recognize his influence. I mean, he was the main reason that Justin Bieber even rose to fame in the first place. Although sadly in 2017 he became famous for a much different reason. Usher had a lawsuit filed against him by 3 fans who claimed the singer gave them all herpes. Although he never made a public statement in regards to this lawsuit, he is known by some for being accused of this before. Previously in 2012, an unnamed plaintiff sued Usher over a similar matter for which he settled out of court for an amount of $1.2 million. And if that doesn't scream guilt, I don't know what else does. Keeping this though with a musician theme, if you will, Nicki Minaj also had a massive lawsuit filed against her not that long ago really. A Queens rapper who goes by the name of Brinks Billions decided to sue Nicki Minaj for more than $200 million after he alleged that Nicki ripped off his song. Brinks Billions, who actually goes by the name of Jawara Headley, claimed that Minaj ripped off a very similar song he claims to have written in 2016 for her 2018 album titled Queen. In documents obtained by TMZ, Brinks claimed that Minaj even told him that the song was extremely marketable with the potential of becoming a global hit. Brinks considers himself to be a songwriter, an artist, a music producer, a composer, and a rapper, so I understand his frustration when a bigger artist just swoops in and takes everything you work so hard for like it's nothing. I believe his entire intention with this lawsuit was to, first of all, get the money that he thinks he's owed, but it sounds like he wanted proper credit as well. Brinks insisted that he was the sole author, creator, composer, writer, and producer of the song, although according to him, he wasn't credited on Nicki Minaj's Queen album for any of that. Also named in the lawsuit are 3 other record labels, which include Universal Music Group, Young Money, and Cash Money. Brinks also claimed that more than just credit is due though. He also wanted an apology for her specifically ripping off a line that says, "It ain't such a thing as broken handsome." Probably the worst part though about watching Nicki Minaj take his song like that was that it was even used as her first promotional single for the release of her Queen album. Then it charted at number 24 on the US Hip Hop Billboard chart, and even Lil Wayne appeared on the track. Man, I'd be pulling my hair out at that point. Brinks said that he had known Nicki Minaj since 2007 when they met on MySpace, but he's still upset that she would just rip off his lyrics lyrics like that. In addition to this, he also claimed that the song had similar music, musical notes, musical arrangement, musical beats, and musical rhythm. Now, talking about 2007 and MySpace, it also reminds me of the massive lawsuit that Miley Cyrus found herself in when she was still known as just Hannah Montana. In 2009, we still all had fond memories of Miley Cyrus simply being known as Hannah Montana, although soon enough that Disney image would be flipped on its head when this photo came out. Now, Miley claimed that this photo with friends was simply her making a silly face, but regardless, the photo led to a Los Angeles woman named Lucy J. Kim filing a $4 billion lawsuit against the pop star. Lucy said that the photo violated the civil rights of Asian Pacific Islanders. Furthermore, she claimed that the payment would be doled out to each of the Asian Pacific Islanders in LA County, which is roughly 1 million people, who she believed deserved about $4,000 each. Cyrus, who was 16 at the time, insisted that the photo was taken out of context, but still apologized for offending anyone. And then 9 months later, the lawsuit was dropped. Also, just for a frame of reference, that $4 billion that she was asking for is insane. Cyrus was only worth about $160 million at the time, which is barely 4% of what she had been asking for. Now, sometimes fans love an artist so much that when they finally get to see them perform live, they think it's their opportunity to show that artist how much they love them. But sometimes security has other ideas. The plaintiff, Richard Monroe Jr., was attending a Snoop Dogg concert, and when Snoop stepped into the audience, Richard believed that this was his opportunity to hug his idol. As he rushed over to meet his favorite artist, a team of security guards rushed in and tackled Monroe to the ground, resulting in major injuries. He was knocked unconscious, dragged off stage, and then later woke up on the ground with a swollen face. Not exactly how you would expect a Snoop Dogg concert to end. Richard ended up suing him for $22 million in damages, but was awarded just under $500,000. While the jury felt for him, they also believed that Snoop shouldn't be to blame for this. Apparently, because he was in the courtroom so many times with Snoop Dogg, they actually ended up becoming close friends. Odd way to end that story, but hey, at least it ends on a happy note. Whether we're talking about Travis Scott at Astroworld or Ellen DeGeneres or Alec Baldwin, there have been a number of celebrities as of late that had a single moment ruin their career. Coming at number 10, Alec Baldwin. Alec had accidentally taken the life of Helena Hutchins, a 42-year-old married mother of two and director of photography on the film Rust. The single round that was fired from the prop managed to strike both Hutchins and the movie's director, 48-year-old Joel Souza. According to a witness, the single bullet struck Helena in the body and then pierced Joel's clavicle. Hutchins was then airlifted to the hospital but was later pronounced dead. Joel Souza was also rushed to the hospital but was later released in the evening. According to the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees Local 44, they claimed in an email that the incident was an accidental weapons discharge, and went on to say, "A live single round was accidentally fired on set by the principal actor, hitting both the director of photography, Local 600 member Helena Hutchins, and director Joel Souza. Local 44 has confirmed that the props, set decorations, special effects, and construction departments were staffed by New Mexico crew members. There were no Local 44 members on the call sheet." In at number 9, Travis Scott. The Astroworld Festival was meant to be a celebration of Travis Scott in his favorite park in Houston. However, this year's celebration turned to tragedy, which turned to the downfall of his career. After proper safety protocols were ignored and Travis egged on a crowd of 50,000 fans to rush the stage, a crowd surge happened which resulted in 10 concert goers losing their life. In addition to that, hundreds more were severely injured, and now there have been 100+ lawsuits filed against Travis Scott, Drake, and Live Nation. One lawsuit is apparently $750 million. That one moment of him ignoring the obvious signs that the crowd was getting out of control led to all of this and truly kicked off the downward trajectory of Travis Scott's career. Coming in number 8, Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner being in attendance at the Astroworld Festival during all of the mayhem was one thing. However, the single moment that ruined her career in our opinion was when she uploaded a video of an ambulance trying to make its way through the crowd. That video was deleted soon after she realized the severity of the situation, but at that point it was pretty much the beginning of the end. Now she can't really even post anymore on her Instagram without getting some sort of extreme backlash in the comments for just being insensitive. So with that, her Kylie brand will certainly take a hit just from this single moment. In at number 7, Tory Lanez. Canadian rapper Tory Lanez, whose real name is Daystar Peterson, really gained mass popularity throughout the pandemic by constantly doing Instagram live sessions. His show was called Quarantine Radio and featured a ton of content that broke the community guidelines of Instagram. That being said, he was still crowned the quarantine king by his followers. With clout now around his name, we saw him hanging out with the likes of bigger celebrities, people like Kylie Jenner and Megan Thee Stallion, which kind of brings us to why Tory's career was ruined. Megan was in a car with Tory and a member of his security team driving through an LA neighborhood. Apparently, an argument took place that resulted in Megan deciding that she was going to get out and walk to where she was staying. However, before she could do so, Tory allegedly shot her in the foot.
Since y'all hoes so worried about it, yes, this Tory shot me. You shot me.
Either way, Meg calling Tori out led to many of his fans finally turning on him. In at number 6, Ellen DeGeneres. When the pandemic happened, everyone went into lockdown and Ellen had a choice to make. She could have saved her staff and allowed them to work from home, but instead she bailed on them and hired an independent company instead. This clearly did not sit well with her former staffers and thus unleashed a litany of complaints about the star. Not only that, but we had a full Twitter thread of just negative interactions in general with Ellen that led many to believe that she was nowhere near the Queen of Nice like she wanted people to think. For example, the poor waitress who nearly lost her job after Ellen complained to management that her nail polish was chipped during service. On top of that, her comments about her $27 million home feeling like a jail cell wasn't viewed as comical, but rather a flaunting of privilege in these uncertain times. Something that's both unnecessary and maybe we'll realize how truly out of touch celebrities can be. The truth about Ellen is that she has been kind of involved in the world of branding and celebrity imagery for so long that now her hot takes are suddenly nowhere near relatable to the general public. In at number 5, Ashley Simpson. This video still gives me secondhand embarrassment. In the video you can see all of this confusion when Ashley realizes that the track started playing before she even had the microphone up to her face. So then she just awkwardly dances instead. At that point you can't even really salvage the performance. I mean, it's called Saturday Night Live for a reason. So she just did her little dance, said that she was sorry, blamed it on her band for playing the wrong song, and then it was all a quick cut to commercial from there. During an interview several years later, she was asked about this incident, and here's what Ashley had to say.
What happened there was I had a vocal problem. I had two nodes beating against each other, and I woke up and I had no voice. And then I should have said, no, I will not go on. I will not do this.
In at number 4, Jenna Marbles. Jenna had been on YouTube for a very long time, and after multiple videos of hers blew up, she began garnering millions of subscribers, 20 million to be more precise. Although in a video titled A Message, Jenna addressed the controversy of her older content. She apologized for the video that she made impersonating Nicki Minaj in 2011, where she donned blackface and then went on to say,
"It's not my intention to do blackface. I do want to tell you how unbelievably sorry I am if I ever offended you."
In response to the outcry on the internet to have her canceled, Jenna archived the old videos and announced that she would be stepping away from the channel. She said that she doesn't know if it'll be forever, but she does want to make sure that the things that she puts out into the world are at least not hurting anyone. In at number 3, Colleen Ballinger. Colleen has said before that she has always tried to directly engage with her fans, and due to the nature of how open she is about her life sometimes, she often shares maybe too many intimate details with them. Due to her cultivating this very young audience and naming a fan as the head of her fan club, Colleen started being accused of grooming a child. The claim comes after Colleen gave away lingerie during a live stream that she had purchased but never worn.
This was what I was sent. I don't even know, sorry, I don't know which way this goes.
Colleen went on to explain that when taken out of context, she understands why this would make her look like a terrible person. With no context, you just see a 30-year-old woman sending underwear to a 13-year-old fan. A little inappropriate if you ask me. But as Colleen stated in her video, it was just part of the many strange things that she had sent to her fans before. While addressing that part in particular, Colleen said that she doesn't know what she was thinking at the time and realizes just how awful this was to do. Which just goes to show you how much her Miranda Sings character kind of started to affect her real life and the decisions that she was making at that time. In at number 2, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan sadly shares a lot of the same career mistakes as Amanda Bynes, for example. She began her career with the remake of the film The Parent Trap, and as she got older, Lohan was booking more major roles. Her most iconic was probably Mean Girls, but as she shot to even bigger levels of fame from this film, it all started to really affect her. The biggest thing that she did before dropping off was Herbie Fully Loaded, which did not exactly get rave reviews from the critics. By 2007, she was running into some serious problems in her personal life that definitely affected her time in the audition room. That year, she was arrested for driving under the influence as well as possession of cocaine. From there, she continued to have issues with the law, and it severely took a toll on her on-screen performances. She tried to make a comeback in 2013 with the film The Canyons, but because it was her first starring role in a while, you could tell that she was crumbling under the pressure again. When her movie career just wasn't working, she tried to get into the nightclub business and open up a club in Greece, but the last I heard, that closed down as well. I would say the single moment for her that ruined the career, though, was definitely the DUI. Last but certainly least, our number 1 spot, Michael Richards. Michael Richards is known for his role as Kramer on Seinfeld. I mean, he's funny on that show because he literally had Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David writing for him. Although when the show ended, Kramer thought that he could just transition into stand-up comedy and be just as funny. Unfortunately, when his set was not going as well at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, he completely lost his mind and just buried his career. I guess someone heckled him from the back, and then he just went on this tirade by screaming racial slurs and attacking the audience. It was so bad that a large majority of the crowd just got up and left the club in the middle of his act. He was never able to redeem himself after this racist rant either, and it will serve as a stark reminder that Kramer was probably never cool.
Every time I see this backdrop, I think about Kramer up.